Welcome, welcome, welcome to Walk by Faith. I'm Abigail Knott, and welcome. Please like, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, and share. And we're continuing today with our long, very long, very long. It's going to take a long time to get through this series of through the prophets. We are walking through the prophets, and we are on Isaiah 2. So without further ado, I'm going to read Isaiah 2, verse 1 to 4. Okay, Isaiah 2, verse 1 to 4. This is the word that Isaiah, the son of Amoz, saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem. In the Acharit Hayamim, the mountain of Adonai's house will be established as the most important mountain. It will be regarded more highly than the other hills, and all the nations will stream there. Many peoples will go and say, "Come, let's go up to the mountain of Adonai, to the house of the God of Jacob. He will teach us about his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For out of Zion will come forth Torah," that's the law, "the word of Adonai from Jerusalem. He will judge between the nations and arbitrate for many peoples. Then they will hammer their swords into plow blades and their spears into pruning knives. Nations will not raise swords at each other, and they will no longer learn war." Okay, so we're just doing that bit for today because it's good that we go through here slowly so that we can slowly understand what is going on. So in verse 2, they talk about Acharit Hayamim, which means the last days. So God speaks of a future time when he invites us to worship in his presence. He says all nations will stream there. So even though he is talking to the Israelites, this word includes you and me. There will be a new heaven and a new earth. Okay, so this is not in what I just read, but that's what this is speaking about. It's speaking about the new heaven and the new earth where Jesus is going to rule for 1,000 years, and we are going to rule with him, because what does the Bible say? We are the joint heirs with Christ. So I think this is during that time. There will be a new heaven and a new earth. And our desire in verse 3 is to go up to the mountain of Adonai, which is basically the temple. It's a temple in which we will be invited to be in the presence of Adonai, to worship him. So we will have that desire to go to the mountain of Adonai and learn his ways and walk in his paths, that his word would go forth. So what that means is we would all be speakers and doers of the word. We will be strengthened in his presence and filled with his love. And in this place, there will actually be no hindrance. There will be no sin, no hindrance, no war of our own mistakes and sin to hold us back from being fully emboldened and impassioned in his presence, that we would go and we would be doers of the word as well as speakers. And that's what we're wanting to do here. But there are a lot of hindrances in our in doing that. The world throws everything at us. The enemy throws everything at us to stop us from doing that. Even when I went to the 412 equip, there I came under spiritual attack before I went. I was like, something's wrong. I don't feel good. I don't feel right. Something's off. I don't feel good. And then I got sick. And I was just like, watch me. tomorrow when I go to the equip, I'll be okay. I'll be fine. And I was fine. I wasn't sick. I wasn't feeling bad or anything. So really, we won't have any of that to contend with. We won't have any of that to battle through when we speak of God's word. Okay. So we will be strengthened in his presence and filled with his love. We will not be able to speak or do anything without praising, worshiping, and thanking God. And we won't want to. We will be proclaiming his truth without fear of retaliation, because there will be unity like never seen before, ever in the history of the world. That sounds like heaven to me. If you would just take a moment and imagine that. Imagine that you are able to say whatever you want about Jesus and give praise to him and worship him and thank him and proclaim his truth, and nothing is going to stop you. Without fear. Take a moment and just imagine. Let that sink in. Think about it. Okay, so without fear of retaliation, and there will be unity like never before. So that sounds like true freedom. In verse 4, it talks about hammering swords into plow blades and spears into pruning knives. In the NIV Archaeological Bible, it says that plow blade was an iron point mounted on a wooden beam. And this was a plow blade, which is not what I pictured. And a pruning hook was used in the cultivation of the vine. It had a sharp knife-like end for pruning. So it wasn't. They didn't look. It didn't look like you'd think it would look. It didn't look like it would look like today. So the thing is, I'm not sure that it matters what it was before, because this Isaiah 2 is talking about a future time that has not come yet. It's talking about the last days, and we all know that the last days have not come yet. Okay. Is there a foreshadowing of the last days right now? Yes. Is there a foreshadowing of things that kind of will announce the last days? Yes, of course. But the last days are when we are on a new heaven and a new earth, and Jesus is ruling. Those are the last days. Okay, everything that happens up to that point is suffering, and it's challenging. But thank goodness we will be with the Lord. So it says, so I said, I'm not sure it matters, because this is talking about a future time that has not come yet. There is much more development in tools used in our modern world for farming and pruning and doing that kind of stuff. So even with my thoughts of it doesn't matter because it's talking about a future times and tools will be a whole lot more advanced when this time comes around. Even so, even after the thoughts that I had about it, even so, the point is that in the last days, weapons will not be needed. As there will be no battles, just think of this, no battles and no wars. I'm going to give you a chance to think about that too. No battles and no wars. As it's starting to sink in. There will be complete peace. The Hebrew word for peace is shalom. It will have a completeness about it. This kind of peace doesn't end. So imagine that. Just imagine what awaits us. Hope and a future, and it's not going to end. That is eternal. That is forever, my friend. And because you and I have given our lives to Christ, and we are learning his ways, and we are learning to walk in his ways, that means you and me, this is our future. Think on that. That's all for today. Bye.